My toes are frozen right now.
So there are bullet holes in the back wall there.
I can't even talk about it. It's so cold.
It was Hey guys, thanks for joining us here today. We're back with Sandy Mackay and it is absolutely freezing here, so we really appreciate him coming out. He's going to be going over his most recent project. This place is a huge dump, but within due time it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So let's take it from here. He'll walk us through what he's doing. Hey Sandy, thanks for joining us here today. Appreciate you being with us again. So tell us a little bit about where we are.
Right in center of Hamilton, just on the east side of it. Yeah, we're in obviously it's a dump right now. It was even more dumpy a while ago, and now it's all gutted. We're ready to start basically full renovations here.
Okay, so this is something that you've been working on for some months now, or what's the deal with this one?
So this is a semi. So we actually own the other side already. We've actually totally redone that one side. So this is the second side. We've had this place we've owned it for probably a year.
Okay.
And we've basically just been sitting on it. We did the whole other side. We've gutted this now, and we're about ready to start doing major renovations.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about like when you purchased this, what state it was, and what you kind of look for now, knowing that what the other side can look like. What do you look for when you're looking at these type of properties?
Yeah, I mean, this place was a dump. It was as bad as you can get, yet still be livable, I guess I would say. Okay. There were people living in it, but I wouldn't be living in it. I don't think a lot of us, and probably none of us, would be living in it.
Yeah.
We'd call it unlivable. It was, that's what we look for. We like those types of properties because we can add the most value to them, and we do a little bit higher end renovations than most. So to go from the worst possible to probably as good as you're going to see in Hamilton for a rental, there's a lot of room there, right, to add value. So we just go off of how much value can be added. The more the better for us. Doesn't matter what kind of renovations are needed, just the more value add, the better. As long as we're sticking with that, as long as we have an idea of what that end value is going to be and we don't overdo it to a point where we're not going to get that value out of it, right?
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correct, you're saying the worse the place is, the better for you, at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you anticipate how much a project like this is going to cost you?
So this one, you can't see it all right now, but I guess you can see behind us, pretty much all that's left is framing. And even now we're taking out a lot of it and redoing some and adjusting the layout a bit. But I mean, this is about a $300,000 renovation. It's not a small scale renovation, especially for beginners. It's probably beyond what they want to do. Mm-hmm. But so this one, quite frankly, there's so much room for value add in this one that we didn't do full due diligence on it before we even bought it. We just know there's more than enough there to make a good return on it. So we didn't even go through it super detailed as we might on some projects that are a bit tighter.
Yeah.
But for something like this, I mean, we know our rough numbers based on what's going to cost to fully rewire the house, fully redo the HVAC, fully redo plumbing. This house needs every single thing possible, aside from foundational work, I guess, and some exterior work is done. But otherwise, it needs everything. So it's just going through all the different budget points and making sure it fits into that number that's going to fit in with the overall larger scale budget, I guess.
For someone new to investing, new to renovating, how can they arrive at a number like that? Do you have a contractor you lean on, or an architect?
I think you need a lot. I think you need a lot of people behind it. I think you need a great power team, which is the number one, most important thing people need to be successful in this business, is having people surround you that know what they're doing. In a lot of cases, know more about their specific part of it more than you do. Contractors, for sure. For this type of project and the strategy we're using, we're realtors, so we kind of know ourselves. But if you're not a realtor, you need to have someone who knows the market very, very well, like is in it every single day and knows exactly the location and the market of that location and what's that value after you renovate it, right? What's it going to be? Where's the point where you go too far with it, where you're not going to get that return? You need to have the mortgage broker set up and working with you for this strategy specifically to work the financial angle of it. There's a lot of things come in place. So contractors, for sure, if you're looking at the renovation side and how much things are going to cost and all that. For us at this point, we have a few contractors that we trust and we know their opinions are going to be good. And if you don't have that starting out, you probably need 3 or 4 to come through with you and give you an idea of what you're going to spend, and see who you're most comfortable with and who you trust most, basically.
So on that note, when you're dealing with contractors, I mean, we've all heard of stories about contractors doing a job halfway and they disappear. In your opinion, and maybe you could share with our viewers, what to look for when you're looking at hiring a contractor, so that you don't run into those situations.
Yeah, so I mean, we like to say there's 3 types of contractors. One, there's the type that's a one-man show, is going to come in and do all this stuff himself and him or herself, and it's probably going to be the cheapest kind because they're doing all of it themselves. They don't have to have much overhead costs.
Mm-hmm.
For this type of project, there's no way we'd ever hire someone like that. It's just going to take years to finish it.
Right.
You might have the second version is someone who's not a one-man show. They have probably a smaller team. Maybe they have a couple of crews that work with them, and they're able to handle 2, 3, 4, maybe a few projects at once. But they're not doing 50 projects at once. They're not a huge, massive company. They're somewhere kind of in the middle. Then you got the huge company who can handle massive projects on a large scale, and they can do multiple of those at a time. That's going to be your most expensive option. Usually not the type we go for either, just because pure numbers are going to be too much for us and where we're at. And then you have the ones in the middle is usually where we stick to. So someone who's probably like a small to medium-sized business, but they are a business. They're not just a one-man show. And then, so it's figuring out what that looks like and which type you want to work with for starters. And then it's having a few of those types in. Referrals for sure are huge, and that's having that power team behind you. Any realtor who's doing this a lot is going to be able to help you out in terms of getting you in touch with a few options. I would always recommend still doing your own due diligence regarding who you end up using at the end of the day. But people who have done it before, those are going to be your biggest source for referrals to contractors, and then just meeting with them, interviewing them, and seeing who you can trust more, and definitely not always just going with the lowest price. For sure, not doing that. Most of the people who are going to be the lowest price are the most likely to do what you just said, kind of start and then run off, because they're not running a real business typically if they're undervaluing what they do.
Right.
So there's a bit of a balancing act there with how much you're paying. Usually we find the best people are kind of somewhere in the middle of pricing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
All right. So for example, somebody that's watching this video right now and they'd like to get started, obviously you're at a state in your career now where you've done this enough, so you know exactly what to do. Could you share some of the tips that you've learned along the way with some of our viewers, so that way they don't feel like they're just starting out with no clue what to do at all?
Yeah. Do you want just the contracting side of things, or do you want maybe
just overall, just a few tips?
So number one for sure is just having the right people surrounding you is by far the number one most important thing, I would say. Having people who know what they're doing and have done what you want to do, and then having them kind of maybe mentor you or guide you through the process. That's going to be your number one thing, because you can always go back to them and ask more questions and hopefully get some guidance. That's number one. Really, you should be able to get almost everything you need out of that. Otherwise, if you're not, then you're not connected with the right people, and those people are going to help you, guide you through the whole thing. So you're going to have questions as you go. You're going to screw things up. Screwed up so many things. We've had contractors bail on us. Mm-hmm. We've had contractors bailing us on big jobs. We've lost a lot of money in a couple of cases. Best lessons we've ever learned going through that process, because you won't do that again. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if someone's working with us, for example, we've had massive mistakes already that we can help people avoid. And I think connecting with people like that who know that and have made those mistakes already, they'll help you not do those same things. Right? So that'd be number one. Then maybe another point I could give is basically you need to be involved in some way, at least in the beginning, for a renovation like this. Let's say you need to be like showing up and monitoring what a contractor is doing. It's not always the most fun thing to do, especially if you're busy with life and your work and whatever. But you need to check in on things. This mainly to avoid having a contractor get or screw you over. Is to make sure you're there and monitoring work every week to 2 weeks, and when you go to pay them something, you're actually verifying that they've done what they've said they've done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Really big one.
Perfect. Well, yeah, thank you for being here with us today, Sandy. Thanks for answering all of our questions, and we look
Absolutely.
forward to documenting this project from start to finish.
Yeah, cool. We can have you in again when it's maybe in the different stages.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And all right, guys, thanks for joining us again on this other episode of Moguls in the Making. Always stay tuned for more episodes. We got tons of new information coming your way. And leave us a response in the comments section if you have any feedback or any questions. And if you want to get in touch with us, our email will be provided below. So thanks again. And I think we're ready to get out of this cold, and we will see you next time.